Warning, the following video contains the use of a Lichtenberg device, which is very dangerous due to the high voltage. Do not use unless you have someone with you and electrical experience. Also a disclaimer, in this video I install a propane stove in my camper van. This is very dangerous, so you want to seek out a qualified gas technician. I am not one. So take what I say with a grain of salt and be sure to have it inspected after you're done.
Hey guys! In this episode, we're going to be finishing up the cabins and countertop. What are we doing first, you ask? We're going to cut holes in the beautiful countertop that we just created. Oh no! Let's get to it! Yeah!
Okay guys, as you can see, I brought down my sink. Now, being as this is going to be like the most important cut, especially when we don't want to mess up the countertop, we're going to go ahead and make a template, and then we're going to transfer it onto just a scrap piece of wood just to make sure that the sink fits in it all right. So that's something I suggest that you guys do too. So in order to get the full circumference of the sink, what we're going to do is I attached a tack with a string on it, and I got the radius of the sink, and what we're going to do is we're just going to take it and just kind of go around in a circle, and that'll give us the full diameter of the sink. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and cut this out, and then we're going to transfer it to this scrap piece of wood we got over here, and then we're going to see if she fits. If she fits all right, and then we can go ahead and transfer this to the countertop. We got a couple more things to make templates for and cut out first. So we're going to go ahead and transfer this right now. Here we go. Let's see if she fits. Yeah! All right, that's some good news. So, yeah, she looks good. Okay, so that pattern fits. So we're gonna move on to the next pattern that we got to cut out. It's the soap dispenser is what we're gonna be doing next. So we're gonna go ahead and cut out that little thing. Here we go. Hey guys, this is the soap dispenser that we're gonna be putting in. So we got to get the right width for the hole, and it came with this little washer right here, this little rubber washer, and that actually has the exact size of hole we need to put it in. So what we're going to do is just going to unscrew it. And this little washer gives us the exact size we need. So I guess we're just going to go ahead and make this kind of our main template. So we're going to kind of go ahead and plan our layout a little bit. So I think the soap dispenser is going to kind of go like right around here. So, roughly, yeah, I think that'd probably be about right. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that out now. So here we go. Okay, that would be why we made a template first. Got it a little bit too close to the sink there. So that's not a biggie, we can just scooch it over a little bit, but so we at least got the hole. So okay guys, now we need to do the sink faucet itself. This is the attachment that's for underneath, that it'll be screwed to the faucet itself. So this is the exact size we need right here. The instructions also tell you it's 35 millimeter, but I don't exactly have the bits to drill that yet. So we're just gonna go ahead and trace it and then cut it, because again, this is just a scrap piece, so not biggie if we mess it up. So again, I really recommend doing a scrap piece of wood before you do your actual cut on your countertop, just to be on the safe side. So we're gonna go ahead and trace and cut this out now. Here we go. All right, she fits.
Okay guys, next is the stove. So we're going to go and do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and cut and trace out a template, and then we're going to actually cut the countertop. Here we go! Alrighty folks, scary part, we got to cut holes into the countertop. But before we do, we got to make sure everything fits. By that, I mean the faucet, because the van walls do curve, so we want to make sure it fits first. So let me grab the faucet real quick. All right. That looks like she'll fit all just fine. So now, looks like it's time to cut some holes. Here we go! Alrighty guys, it's time for the scary part. Cutting a hole in this beautiful countertop that I made. Here we go, fingers crossed. Moment of truth. Yeah! Second scary cut. Here we go! Second moment of truth. Here we go! Okay, that's what these tests are for. We've got to go ahead and widen it just a little bit more. Here we go! Yeah! We got her in there! Woo! Alrighty guys, ready to see what we did? Check this out. Oh yeah! Starting to look like home. So now we gotta put the rest of the pieces in. We're gonna do the faucet and the soap dispenser. So that's next. We've got a sink! Yeah, baby! Alright, we also got the stove installed. So those were the most stressful cuts I've done thus far, but they fit perfectly. So, what's next, you ask? Oh no! We don't have any water! Guess we gotta hook up this section now. So, next step, we're hooking up the sink. Here we go! Alrighty, guys, we're starting on the sink. So, let me show you what we're going to be using. I got a SureFlow, this is a accumulator, and this is supposed to extend the life of the pump and save some battery power. This is the SureFlow water pump that we're going to be using. It's a 408, or 4008, my bad. And so, what we're going to do today is we're just going to attach these underneath the sink here, and get those kind of in place. Maybe run some lines and everything. I got the sink drain is coming in the mail, so we gotta wait on that. But we're gonna kind of go ahead and get everything in place and kind of ran, and maybe the wires hooked up too. So that's what we're doing today. Here we go! Okay guys, I want to give you a little tip if you have a SureFlow pump too, because this kind of threw me because I don't have really a lot of electrical experience with like motors and stuff. But apparently the wire, well, hang on, let me show you. Yeah, turn it on the side here. Okay, so if you can see, we got the negative line coming off the front. There's also a positive line coming off the front, but it goes and connects to the back. And then there's a separate line that comes off. That kind of threw me a bit because it looks like nothing in the manual. The instructions have a completely different setup, which is really weird. SureFlow, you should kind of change the manual just kind of so it actually looks like the pump. Anyway, what I found out was you go ahead and use, obviously, the free end wires. The reason they did this is because it goes to a pressure switch into the pump. So that's why it's kind of like set up like this. So yeah, you go ahead and use the free end wires to make your connections. So we're going to go ahead and, well, or at least we're going to screw it up there. I've still got to get the switch that I want for putting on top of the countertop. But I just wanted to give that little information to you guys in case you have a SureFlow pump and that kind of throws you too, because again, the directions look completely different from the pump inside. So, and this is a 408 SureFlow pump. So we're gonna go ahead and install it up here now. Here we go. Okay, minor mishap. I put it on the wrong way. Why? If you guys look closely here, let's see if we can get close. Can't see. All right. See that little arrow right there? That's the direction the water's flowing, i.e. I had it on backwards. So water's gonna flow up from here and out up here. So just kind of make note of the little arrows when you're putting in your sink pump. Next step. Okay, the next step is we're gonna install this little strainer. This is like for the water going into the pump to make sure it doesn't get any gook in the pump itself. So we're gonna put this in. I also got some
Teflon tape that we're just going to put on the fittings. Let me take this off. On the fittings there, so we can just make sure it's got a nice seal so it doesn't leak out. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. Okay guys, now that we got that on there, we're going to go ahead and attach this little elbow bracket to the bottom of that. And same thing, we're going to go ahead and Teflon the this part. Just to make sure we got a tight seal so we don't have any water leaking. Okay y'all, minor problem again. Dang it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move the pump up a little bit. Well, these things happen. So learn from my mistakes. Measure the pump where it's at first, and then go ahead and attach it. I was just excited about getting the pump in. So we're gonna go ahead and move the pump up now. Here we go. Okay, problem solved. Next. Okay guys, I was gonna do this section, but I want to use an elbow bracket like this one down here, but my setup only came with just one of them for some odd reason. So I gotta go ahead and order one piece for here. We're gonna go ahead and do this, add one more bracket to right here, put some Teflon tape around it, because that one can just come in straight. And then we're gonna need, I'm gonna put an elbow bracket on that one because that's gonna go up to the sink faucet here. So gotta order some parts. We're gonna go ahead and do that section right here. And so I guess we'll continue this once I get the sink drain and then those elbow brackets. So that's next. Here we go. Okay guys, now that we got all our parts, we're gonna go ahead and hook everything up. Well, today what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the wiring. So in order to do the wiring, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill some holes into this plate right here, and we're gonna run the stuff behind. The reason I'm doing that is because I wanna put a switch in there, and yeah, just wanna have it like right by the sink so we can just activate it, and then I can wash my hands or do whatever. So that's what we're gonna do first. Here we go. Okay, slight problem. I think I glued it on there too. Dang it. Okay, so construction adhesive is pretty strong. Okay, now the reason I took it off was so we can actually put like the switch in, and so we actually got to cut that to size. So we're gonna go ahead and cut the hole to size for the switch. Here we go. Guys, we got all the wiring done. Now what you can see is I ran it behind everything, and outside you can see I put an inline fuse holder. This is a 10 amp fuse. That's just to protect the pump from any surges or anything. But yeah, we got all the wiring done, just really easy. Just kind of had to undo that. Well, not really easy because I had glued this piece on, as you saw, which kind of sucked. Yeah, that construction adhesive is pretty strong. But yeah, so went ahead and got all the wiring done. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and connect all the hoses and get them all set up. So that's next. Here we go. Okay, first we're gonna connect the two elbow brackets that we didn't have before. And do the same thing we did before. We're gonna use some Teflon tape around them just to kind of make them super secure and watertight. All right, now we're gonna attach the tubing. Here we go. There's a little bit of better shot of what I just did. So I added the hose, and then I did some hose clamps right against just to make sure the water didn't get out. So that's the first bit we did. Next up, we're gonna do the hose going to the tank. Okay, something cool I just found out. These 7-gallon water containers I had. Well, what I was originally going to do is for the tank, I was going to drill a hole in the cap. However, these things already came with a little spigot. Now, at first I thought, oh man, how am I going to work around that? Well then, let me let's take this over here a second. It just unscrews, and you can actually screw it to the top. However, that's not what I'm going to do, because the hose fits perfectly through there. So I'm just going to run the hose right through it and good to go. So yeah, just a little tidbit tip if you guys are going to use like containers like this. So you can just actually just put the hose right through the cap. Okay guys, that's what she looks like all hooked up. That little hole in the top of the cap really works out well. So next up, we're gonna hook up that little piece to the faucet itself, but before we do that, we have to get the countertop all taken care of. I took that off so I can get like a little bit of work done here. So what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna go ahead and clamp down the countertop with some construction adhesive and let that sit overnight. So that's next. Here we go. Okay guys, today we're gonna go ahead and finish the sink up. So the first thing we gotta do is put parts of the sink together. So in the bottom of the sink here, the hoses go and they just screw in. But we're gonna do the exact same thing we did before. We're gonna put like the end with Teflon tape. And my cat's here to help me. Okay, we're going to be using this piece to attach the sink now. Okay guys, the next piece we're going to put on is this little T thing right here. My cat is helping me out non-stop, kind of getting in the way. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to put this little T section I put on. It's got 2 males and a female section on it, and that's to attach the hoses from the faucet. And then we're gonna put on what's known as a reducer, because it was driving me nuts to try to find this piece in the right side. So I actually had to buy a reducer to actually get it to fit, because we're going from 1/2 inch to 3/8 to 1/2 inch, and I just couldn't find that, except to the opposite. So we're gonna go ahead and use this reducer right here to get to the size we need, and that will fit in turn a hose like this that will finish up the line. So we're gonna go ahead and attach all those now. Here we go. Okay guys, we got her. As you can see, we got it all hooked up here. That's going to the cold, that's going to the hot, which we're never pretty much gonna use. And then I hooked up using the hose clamps, the hose going up and over, goes all the way to the pump, down, and that's going to be where the tank is at. Now we just got to hook up the sink itself. Here we go. Okay guys, the next step is we're going to put the drain in. I already put the sink in and kind of glued her down. So I got the sink parts right here. Now on this, it's like I got like a nice little pop-up sink. So yeah, just kind of, so we can fill up the basin right there. Now they said to use plumber's putty. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some plumber's putty right around the circle there, and then we're gonna set this in there, and then going to get this piece is gonna go onto here, and we're gonna crank it all up. Well, first we're gonna put this rubber washer on, and they said to put plumber's putty around the underside as well, just to kind of make sure we get a nice tight seal and everything. And then we're gonna reattach the rest of the drain to this piece I just got yesterday. This is a little stretchy one that will go right through the hole there and just drain out the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and attach all that now. Here we go. Okay, now you see you put the plumber's putty in. Now we're gonna put the drain in. Here we go. Okay, we placed the drain in and put some plumber's putty around the bottom. Now we're gonna put the washers on. Here we go. Okay, we got the washers on, and now we're gonna attach the drain. The rest of the drain anyway. Alrighty, we got her all hooked up. Now it's time to test her. Here we go. So I hooked up my battery just for a quick test to make sure it works. So, moment of truth. Let's see what happens.
Yeah! It works! Alrighty guys, well we got the sink all finished. Now, as you can see I made a couple of little tweaks. I turned the tank sideways so I could get the tube in a little bit easier. Also, I put a ratchet strap, and if you can see these little hooks I put in, they're anchored in, they're pretty good. Put them on both sides to have something to strap to, so that's what's keeping her in place there. And I also put in a little brace right here so she's not sliding back and forth at all either. So yeah, we got the sink all taken care of. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the propane for the stove. So the first thing we gotta do is cut the copper tubing to the size we need, and we're gonna go from there. So here we go! Okay guys, in order to determine the length of the tubing we need, first we're gonna hook up all the pieces that we can so it'll kind of give us a good idea of what we need for the tubing. So first I got the hose attachment for the propane tank. We're gonna attach this to a 2-stage regulator. Now in order to attach these, this has an NPT fitting, and with these you wanna use a pipe sealant. So this is just pipe thread sealant right here, and we're gonna go ahead and put it around the end and then attach it to the 2-stage regulator. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. Okay, now that we got it done, we're gonna go ahead and wipe off the excess sealant. Okay, now that we got that attached to the 2-stage regulator, we're gonna go to the other side and we're gonna add an elbow bracket NPT fitting with a flared fitting on it. So you can bring that up there so you guys can see it. Oh, it's kind of out of focus, but yeah, it's an elbow bracket that goes into a flared fitting from the MPT. So I'm gonna do the exact same thing we did before, and I'm gonna cover it in a sealant, the pipe sealant, and we're gonna attach it here. Next up, we're gonna add a female flared fitting, and this goes right on the end of that elbow bracket we have. Now with the flared fittings, supposedly you don't need the sealant, so we're gonna give that a shot. Now again, at the end, we're gonna go ahead and inspect these. We're gonna put some soapy water over all of the fittings just to see if there's any gas leaks. If there is, then we'll go ahead and put some sealant in this one. But for now, we're just gonna go ahead and attach it and tighten it up. Also, I wanna mention that I'm just putting this on here for now, just to make sure it fits and everything, but also to kind of get an idea of how long the tubing we need. So because the tubing actually needs to go through this piece. So we're just gonna go ahead and put it on here for now to kind of get an idea of how far of the tubing we need. So I'm gonna go and do that now. Okay y'all, so I hooked up the hose, and so I think we're gonna do something like this. And the reason we're doing it this way is so we can be able to get the propane tank in there kind of easier. So we're gonna hook it up and kind of mount the regulator right there. And so this is kind of giving us an idea of how much tubing we need, because we're gonna go from the stove down and then over. So we're gonna have to drill a hole through there. And again, we're gonna want to make this section just airtight. So before I turn anything on, I'm gonna silicone all the cracks and everything in here, just kind of make her airtight. I mean, we'll be able to test her, because like right now we got all the doors open and everything, but when we're getting on the road and everything, we're gonna have a door here that's airtight. So we're gonna go ahead and I guess cut the tubing now to so we kind of got the idea for the size, how long we're gonna need it now. So that's next. Here we go. Okay guys, we got our tubing marked. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a tubing cutter, and this is really easy. Just tighten it down and then just kind of run it around in a circle, and then it should cut the tubing just perfect. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Here we go. Also, I just want to mention that this is flexible copper tubing, so that's what you want to get.
And next up, we're going to use a $30 tool that I'm probably going to use once. This is what's known as a flaring tool. We're going to put flares on both ends of the copper tubing. So we're going to go ahead and set that up now. Here we go.
So now what we do, so we got the copper tubing going in the little hole here, and this little doohickey is going to come down and flare it. There we go. There you guys can see it. It's flared really good there. Yeah, so gonna go ahead and do the other side now. So Here we go. Hey guys, one thing I want to mention too is you want to make sure that your fitting is smooth. Like before you do the flaring, go ahead and like sand off any of the burrs or anything on it, because you might end up with one like kind of like this. I guess it's kind of hard to see, but it's kind of chipped, and like basically we don't want any leaks. So go ahead and sand off any of the little burrs before you flare it. So that'll give you a nice smooth little look like this one. Now guys, another thing you want to make sure is to put your fitting on before you flare the other end, otherwise you won't be able to get it on. And this is the female fitting, so it's going to go right over top, and I'll go ahead and pop that on there. Wait a second. And so, kind of see how it fits in right there. So that's going to be our flared fitting for the tubing. So make sure to put your fittings on before you do both ends, flaring them. Okay, one minor problem that I just realized I did. Remember how I was saying make sure to put your fittings on first? Well, before that, make sure to run your line first so you can actually get it through the little hole. And the hole you have to drill. So, that's okay though, because I actually planned to put a little bit extra just in case I screwed up or something like that. So, yeah, just something before you put the second flare end on and your fitting, make sure to run your line first. So, just a minor mistake, but that's a good little lesson there. Make sure to put a little bit of extra like on your tubing just in case you happen to screw up like I did. So lesson learned, no biggie. Here we go. Alrighty, well we got the tubing in the first part. So I went ahead and attached it to the main stove part and just kind of tightened it up as good as I could get it. And then we got her through this part right here. And if we come down here, see she kind of runs right about here. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm adding a shutoff valve. It's a really good thing to do for your stove because you don't want the stove just accidentally leaking out. So it's good to have two like you got the propane itself, you can shut it off here, but having the valve is just kind of an extra safety precaution. So we're going to go ahead and put a valve on this side. So like we can just go ahead and shut it off right here. And then we're going to run the tubing through on the other side and then connect everything up. So that's next. So we're going to go ahead and attach that valve. Here we go. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is determine how we want the valve. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put her right like that. So and just shut her on and off. So we're going to go ahead and cut the tubing, a little bit of excess, kind of right around here. And we'll put the flare on it with the fitting and go ahead and attach it. And then we got to cut some more tubing because we're going to be drilling a hole through here and coming around to this side to hook everything up. So next up, we're going to go ahead and cut that, flare it out, and put the valve on. So here we go. Okay, y'all, as you can see, I went ahead and mounted the regulator up here. That'll kind of give me a better idea for how much more tubing I need. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole kind of like right around here, and we'll be able to attach it to the fitting right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drill that hole. I've already got the length of tubing I needed. And again, remember to put the fitting on the one end before you do anything else, because you want to be able to run it, but you also want to be able to attach it too. So we're going to go ahead and drill that hole and then run it through. Here we go. Okay guys, so we got the hole drilled and we got it on this side, and I was having a really hard time bending it without it kinking. And my dad actually came up with a really good suggestion: get yourself a tube bender. This will make it a lot easier and so it doesn't kink. So with this piece right here, it was driving me nuts. So we're gonna go ahead and use this to bend it into place, and then we should be able to test the propane. So here we go. Alrighty, we got it in there. So now it's time to test this puppy. Alrighty, moment of truth. Let's see if we did this puppy right. So first we're gonna turn on the propane.
it works! We got a stove, baby! Yeah!
Time to do some cooking.
Per suggestion of my dad, we're gonna go ahead and test the valve now to make sure that the stove shuts off with that. And the valve works. We're in good shape. But before we start cooking, we need to make sure of something. Two things, actually. Number one, this area needs to be airtight. Now, I've already glued all around it. However, just to be extra safe, we're going to take some silicone, number 2 silicone, and go around all the edges and everything. And then the next thing we got to do is we got to test the fittings. And just to make sure that they're not leaking, we're going to put some soapy water over them. And if we see any bubbles or anything, then we got to tighten them. So that's what we're going to do next. Here we go! Alrighty guys, now that we got it all sealed up with the silicone so it's going to be airtight, what we got to do is we got to put a vent in the bottom of the van because propane is heavier than air. So we don't want the propane leaking into the van itself. So, what do we got to do?
We gotta cut a hole in the bottom of the van, baby! Woo!
Okay, so after countless measuring, we want to make sure we got it in the right spot. So I'm taking a little tiny drill bit and just drilling a pilot hole just to make sure we're in the right spot. So, here we go.
Okay, we're under the van right now, and as you can see, the pilot hole worked perfect, so we're exactly where we want to be. So now we can drill the main hole. Here we go.
Okay, here we go, cutting a hole in the bottom of the van. Yeah! No! I made a hole in my van! Oh no!
Okay, y'all, now that we got the hole all cut, what we're gonna do is add a PVC pipe with an elbow piece. We're gonna point it away from the front so we don't get a whole bunch of gunk running up into the van. So that's what we're gonna do next. Here we go. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put some silicone 2 into the hole and kind of around the edges and everything. Make sure to get number 2 silicone because it's weatherproof. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now, and then we're gonna pound in the PVC pipe. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and go down and put the elbow bracket on, and we're going to go ahead and use some all-purpose cement just around the edges just to make sure she stays. And again, we're going to go ahead and put her facing away from the front of the van. That's just so we don't get any gunk and stuff flying up into the inside. So we're going to go ahead and do that now.
And there we go. And you guys can also see that I painted around, let me see, yeah, I painted around just to kind of prevent rust and everything, and that's hammerite paint. So yeah, it's a good idea to go ahead and paint around where you end up cutting just to kind of prevent rust and everything. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and work on the faceplate for the cabinets. Here we go. Okay guys, so we got the vent in place, and I also went ahead and put these anchor points in so I could hook up the strap so the propane is really secure. Aside from the strap, you know, we got the little hole piece that we made, so it's actually sitting down in the hole and it ain't going anywhere. So again, we got the propane tank as secure as we possibly can, and we got the vent in there, so the propane's just gonna be able to, even if it does leak, it's just gonna vent out through the bottom. But we've already tested all the fittings and they're not leaking, so we're in good shape with the propane. Next up, we're gonna work on putting on the faceplate, going all along the way, and then we're gonna work on putting on the doors that are going to be also airtight for the propane area. So that's next. Here we go.
Okay guys, today what we're going to be doing is the faceplate, the piece that's going to be going over top of here, and then we're going to attach the doors to. So we're going to go ahead and work on that now. Basically what we're going to be doing is a lot of measuring. Here we go!
Alrighty guys, we got her all Lichtenberged up. Now what we're gonna do next is wash out all the char, and then we're gonna let it dry for a day, and then the next day, tomorrow, we're gonna go ahead and paint her all up, make it look pretty, and then we're gonna work on putting it in there and getting the doors all made. So, that's next. Here we go!
Hey guys, we did it! We got the faceplate on. Now what we're gonna do is build the cabinet doors. How are we gonna do that, you ask? Well, luckily my dad has this beautiful bifold door piece. That is part of a very important project he's working on. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna steal it and use it for our own doors. Here we go! Ah!
Okay guys, so this door is going to be different than the other ones because it's in three separate pieces. So what we're going to do is I got these wooden dowel rods, and we're going to drill some holes into the top and the bottom of these, and we're going to go ahead and glue them in there and glue along this whole area. So it's going to stick these ones together, and same thing we're going to do up here, kind of right up here, drill some holes, stick them in there, pound them in, glue them, and then it'll be a nice sturdy door. So that's what we're gonna do next. Here we go!
Alrighty guys, we got it all glued, now we're clamping it together. While we're waiting for it to dry, we're gonna go ahead and install the two pieces that are finished into the van. So, here we go! Yeah, baby!
Okay guys, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna install this little lip piece here. Now, can't really see too well, but that is the wheel well right there. And basically we got a lot of space up on top, so we're putting this little lip here so stuff won't go flying off. And as you can see right there, we have that non-slip mat. So we're gonna be putting that over top here, so we can put like pots, pans, and other stuff, and they're not going to go flying off, and along with this little lip here is going to keep them there. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Okay, there we go. We got the lip installed there. So next what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the catches, and then after that we're going to do the hinges. And then we'll be able to install the doors. So, but first we're going to put the catches on, also known as the latches. And so we got to put like a little, we're probably going to use like a 1x1 right here and up towards the top. So I want to have 2 latches just so it's going to stay in place while we're driving and not going to rattle a whole bunch. So that's what we're going to do next. Here we go. Okay guys, so I lied to you. It's a little bit easier to go ahead and put the hinges on first and then put the latch on. The reason is because these doors are a little bit thicker than this 3/4 inch plywood. And we have to kind of gauge of how deep we need to go with the latch. Now, as you can see, I cut out these 1x1s to about 3 inches to kind of match the width right here. And what we're gonna do with that is put the latch right on here sideways. We're gonna do 2 latches, one at the bottom and then one at the top. And so it's gonna be sitting on those 1x1s, and that will help us kind of get the depth we need for the latch. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach it directly to the door here so we can kind of gauge where it needs to go. So we're gonna go ahead and do that next. So here we go. Alrighty guys, we got the first latches on. Now as you can see, I had to build this little doohickey right here out of a 2x6. And the reason is because, again, the doors themselves are deeper than the plywood. So I had to kind of shape it to how it fit, and then put these little doohickeys on there, those little latches, and then measure out to where those were, which turned out to be about 3/4 inch. And then, boom, we got it. So, the bottom is good. Now we just got to do the same thing pretty much on the top section, because we want to have 2 different latches, one for the top, one for the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the top next. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty guys, we got the other section of the latches on. I did the exact same thing. I made a little T kind of like that. Let me see if I get an angle so you can see. Hang on. Gotta lay down. Oh, what'd I do for my audience? I lay down. But as you can see, I kind of make it look a little odd little T thingamabobber right there that the latch is attached to, so like they can hook to these right here so we can keep them in place. And I did a top and a bottom one just to make it extra secure. Now if you want, you could just do a center one, but there's another reason I did the top and the bottom. They're less in the way than one in the center would be. So like when I'm reaching in there, getting stuff and whatnot, because bottom and top's not gonna be that big a deal. So, but bam, baby. And, oh yeah. So I think those look pretty good, huh? So next up, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do like one more coat of polyurethane just to kind of clean up. You can't really see it. There's a couple little fingerprints because when I was putting these in, they were still a little tacky. So I'm gonna go ahead and run the sander over them a little bit and add one more coat of polyurethane. And then we're gonna add the handles so we can just go ahead and pull them open. And then we're gonna continue working on the sink door. We gotta let the glue dry because as you can see, it's got to dry that top section, and then we got to finish cutting her to size. It's really, really close right now, but you always want to leave just a tiny bit of room, as you can see, like kind of around here, so it can actually open and close. So we just got to make a few modified adjustments to the door once it's dry, and then we're going to Lichtenberg it and stain it just like we did with these other doors, and then we'll have another door piece. Here we go! Alrighty guys, we got it all set up. The first 2 doors are done. We got the handles on, we got the hinges on, and we got the latches in. So, we are in good shape. Yeah.
So yeah, that turned out pretty good. So next, we're gonna go ahead and finish up the sink door.
Hey guys, okay, while we're waiting for the stain to dry on the next door, what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the screw holes with these screw plugs. So, you've seen in my other episodes how I make them, so we're just going to skip that part, we're going to get right to putting them in. What you need to put them in is a rubber mallet and some glue. That's it. And then you let them dry for about 30 minutes. I usually let them dry overnight just to be on the safe side, make sure they're really secure in there before I chisel them off. And then we're gonna sand them down and stain them to match, and then polyurethane over top. And then we got a nice smooth surface that all matches. So that's what we're doing now. Here we go! Okay guys, now that we let them dry overnight, we're gonna go ahead and chop off the excess. So here we go. Alrighty guys, all of them went pretty good except for the third one right there. So we just gotta fix that little one, and then we're gonna go ahead and sand down all the pieces just to make sure they're really flush and even. And then we're gonna stain them to match the faceplate, and then cover them in polyurethane, and then we got a perfect faceplate. Here we go! We got the main parts of the door done for the sink. We got the hinges, we got the handle. What's next? The latches. Now, unlike the other section, we're actually set up pretty good for this. Kind of, because this section is already kind of flush with the door. So we can just go ahead and drill right against these little boards we got right here. So it's gonna be already set up for us there. We don't have to build anything, unlike the other section. Now, there's one problem though. Unlike the other section, we don't have another door that we can look into here. So we're gonna have to do a lot of measuring to make sure it's exactly where it needs to be right here, and then the other section right here on the door. So, a lot of measuring coming up. Here we go! Okay, so we actually are gonna have to build out just a fuzz for it to actually latch. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take just a little piece of furring strip and just tack it onto the little boards we got, and then we should be good. So that's next. Here we go. Okay guys, so the measuring was not working. However, I came up with a really cool solution here. So, as you can see here, I took the latches and went ahead and put them in there, and then I put some permanent markers through the little holes there, and then all we do is hear them falling, and then don't know if you guys can see or not, but we got little marks there. So that's where they're supposed to go. So now we know finally where the heck they're supposed to go. So, third time is the charm, so we'll go ahead and get these on now. Here we go! Alrighty guys, we got her. Works like a charm. So, you're welcome for that little tip about the permanent markers. Now, the next thing we're gonna be doing is the most important door, the propane area. It has to be airtight. Luckily, I've got this neoprene stuff that's gonna be our weather stripping, so it's gonna be making it airtight. So, we're gonna go ahead and measure this out, and this door is gonna be a little bit different. We're actually gonna be going over top to kind of make a seal. So, we're gonna go ahead and cut that out now so I can show you what I'm talking about. Here we go! Alrighty guys, here's the piece we just cut out. Now as you can see, she fits over top, unlike the other doors. Now the reason we're doing that is so we can take this neoprene rubber, that's going to be our weather stripping, so we're going to make an airtight seal going around the edges here, and that's going to keep it airtight. We're also going to build a kind of a box frame out of 1x1s that are going to go in. We're going to attach it to here, and so it's going to like kind of stick in, and then we're going to take the neoprene rubber and go along the edges of the box frame on this part, and so that's going to kind of give us a double air seal, so it's like going to be double safe. Because propane is no joke, and you do not want it leaking into your van, especially while you're sleeping, because it'll kill you. That's why we got that air vent down there, so the propane will just leak out on the off chance it does. And double airtight. So we're also going to have a propane / carbon monoxide detector, so the alarm will go off on the off chance it does as well. So you want to be extra safe with any kind of gas in your van. Again, I'm not an expert, but you might want to get it inspected by a gas technician of some sort or a friend who does gas work for a living. So again, this is dangerous. I'm not an expert, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt if you're going to do this, okay? So safety, #1 priority. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and stain Lichtenberg this. We're going to build that box frame going around here, then we're going to attach it to here, and then we got the cabinets and countertop all done. Here we go! Alrighty guys, now the really important part. We're going to see if it actually fits in place. Here we go! Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is on the back side, we're going to go ahead and put the neoprene to make it airtight. Here we go! Okay guys, now that we got the neoprene on there, we got an airtight seal. So next up, we got to put on the latches and then the handles. So here we go. Okay guys, well the latches aren't working the way I thought they would, because you can see this part right here is actually adjustable, and so I thought I could put it where I need it to. However, because of the angle, this is 3/4 inch plywood, and it's just kind of like the distance and the angle is just kind of making it like hard for it to latch onto. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get a couple of scrap pieces of 3/4 inch plywood, and just kind of prop the latch out so it'll be dead even with this piece right here, and then the latch should work fine. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. We gotta same thing, we gotta stain them, polyurethane them, and then should be able to attach them onto here, and then we can get the door all done. So that's what we're doing next. Here we go.
Alrighty guys, we got it done. Check out this puppy. A lot of metal and wood, just how we like it. Alright, so you guys can clearly see that those other latches didn't work, but these ones work perfectly. Reason being is I actually have to push in pretty hard to get these latches to work. So the pressure is actually holding it in together. So we got that nice neoprene seal around there so it's airtight. So this worked out really good. We got them all the way around too, so we got them extra secure. So propane's not going to leak out. If it does, it's going to go through that vent we put in the bottom down there. And we also got a propane/carbon monoxide detector. That is very important. Make sure you get one if you're going to put propane in your vehicle for your stove. So with that being said, guys, hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, like and subscribe. Next up, we're cutting a hole in the roof. Oh yeah! See y'all next time.